I'm Jeff Lau. I'd like to introduce you to Mudhook Brewing Company, located just outside of Central Market on Cherry Lane. I'd like to invite you inside, show you around a little bit.
People get up to speak, they say I'm a man of few words. Anybody that knows me, that's not the case. I will try to condense this down to a small version. Most people here, I'm guessing, know that Mudhook is called Mudhook because it's another name for an anchor. And we wanted to be an anchor location in downtown York when it revitalized, like it is doing every day now. We didn't necessarily like the look of an anchor, so the logo is a muddy hook. My family, who is throughout this entire room, all like to fish, and so we all fish together, and that's where we came up with the muddy hook, including this little guy right here, my grandson. The brewmeister is this young man right here. My daughter does all the Facebooking and all that kind of stuff, and I don't even know if Facebooking is the right word. That's why I don't do it. I tell everybody that McDonald's sells the most hamburgers in the world, and theirs don't taste anything like ours, but they have a system down. So I thank everybody for their patience as we learn our system. And hopefully the beer and the hamburgers and the hot dogs that we serve are that much better. They're that much better that your patience till we get our system down is worth it. So tonight is not about Mudhook. It's not about my family. It's about all the people who are here tonight supporting us. So I raise my glass to you, and I thank you for coming tonight, in the past and in the future.
We're getting twisted. Hold on.
No, you're going to be put to work. Tell me when. Here we go.
Here we are inside Mudhook. For those of you that are familiar with downtown York, you'll know that this was La Country Cuisine. A little over a year ago, we took over the establishment and we changed a few things. This bar right here, we were able to acquire from Ruby Tuesdays in the Galleria Mall. We renovated that as well as a lot of the inside of the building. This brick wall was covered in plaster, drywall, and boards, the boards that you see here under the bar. The ceiling here was covered in drywall and plaster. There was a big bulkhead here. The columns were metal bars, and we tore all that down. We sandblasted, and we made quite a few changes here at the Mudhook. First question out of most people's mouths is how did you come up with the name Mudhook? A mudhook is another name for an anchor. We wanted to be an anchor of the revitalization of downtown York. There are so many other places, White Rose and other places, Left Bank, that have been down here, and they're the anchors. We just wanted to be one of the anchors. Now, if you look at our logo, though, it's a little bit different. Our logo is a muddy hook. My family likes to fish together. Everyone in my family fishes all the way down to one of my grandchildren, Gracie. She's only 3 years old. She's probably caught bigger fish than I have. That's how we came up with the name Mudhook. Seems to have caught on very well. We're open on Tuesday through Saturday. We open at 4 o'clock each day. A lot of people ask when we're going to be open for lunch, and we're working on that one. That's one that we have to perfect the way we deliver our products before we open for lunch, but it's coming soon. We have 4 craft beers on tap at all times. If you look up here, that would be our Panfish Pale Ale, the Live Bait Amber Ale, the Red Eye Irish Red, and the Deep Sea Stout. Right now we have a York Steam and an Oktoberfest. Prior to that we had a Peach Wheat. That was very, very successful. But everything there is seasonal, and so we are now working on the next beer that will replace our Steam Ale. We have a full kitchen, open most nights till 9, Friday and Saturday till 10. It features a menu of hamburgers, chicken, hot dogs. You can buy any number of our specialty sandwiches, or you can do a make your own and put it whatever topping you want on from a choice of 20-some odd toppings. We have appetizers. Wings are one of our specialties. Our loaded nachos are truly loaded. We have a bowl of mud. That's my wife's recipe, and it is pretty true to its words. It is about as thick as you can make a bowl of chili. And when you come to Mudhook and you order a bowl of mud, you're going to get a hearty helping, and I think you're going to go away full. We use that same topping on our loaded nachos, and again, we're true to our word, they are truly loaded. Speaking of loaded, you do need to be a little careful when you come to the Mudhook, because if you look there, the different alcohol content of our beers is higher than what you drink when you're drinking a traditional beer out of a bottle. And so you need to be a little careful when you come here. We've not had any problems with people over drinking and becoming unruly or anything like that. We have live performances on Saturday nights, usually starting about 8 o'clock and lasting about 2 hours. There's a pretty wide array of 2 or 3 people singing down to 1 person performing their type of music, and the music spans. You can visit our Facebook or our website, and they'll tell you what's playing this Saturday. Here we are in our open air space here at Mudhook. In the summer, it's just wide open. We pull this plastic up, and people have been out here. It is a funny thing, because on any given night, there's a line of people waiting to be outside and don't want to sit inside. And on any other given night, there's people who want to be inside and wouldn't go outside for anything. The first week we were open was during that steamy hot week in July, and we couldn't get anybody to come out here. Then things got nice and everybody wanted to be out here. Now we have plastic down, we have heat out here, and we'll be able to use this in the coldest of weather or in the nicest of weather. So we're very pleased. It seats 30-some people out here, and so we're very pleased. One thing I want to mention is, after viewing our establishment, you see that we're relatively small. Our seating capacity is about 72 people, and people call and want to have reservations. They want to know if I can hold time for a party of 12 and a party of 20, and it just gets very difficult when you're an establishment of our size. You hate to turn business away, but you just can't have tables open for a half hour waiting for this big party to come in. We have had multiple people contact us about renting the space. We're opening on a Monday night for a special event. That's been very popular. We've done that twice already. We have another one we're scheduling for November. It happens to be the Lieutenant Governor is going to come to York, and he's a big fan of microbreweries, brew factories like ours. So we're looking forward to that. We had a phone call from a party of 20 that want to hold their wedding rehearsal dinner here. Again, difficult for us if they want to be here at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday, which is our busiest day. or if they can come in at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock when we're not quite so busy yet. So we're all about trying to accommodate people. It is a service business, and mostly you want to accommodate the request of people. And so the biggest request that we get, and sometimes can't accommodate people, is to see where we brew the beer. Like I said earlier, we are located here next to Central Market. That's where our pub is, but our brewery, that's in Central Market. So follow me, we're going to go over and I'm going to show you where we brew our beer. Well, here we are in our brew house. What you can't see here is our mill room, which is on the 2nd floor above the pub. We mill the grain over there. Tim set up an auger system that will bring it over then and drops it down into the brew vessels. It amazes me how many people say, yeah, I brew at home. I mean, dozens upon a couple hundred people have told me that they brew at home, and then they come in here and they go, wow. I mean, because it's just a whole different world than brewing 5 gallons at home, which is what Tim did for years and years and years. And then, you know, we decided to step up a little bit to these are 8-barrel systems. The grain comes over, and we have a 400,000 BTU boiler behind the wall here that heats the water pretty fast. These are steam jacket boilers. That is the better way to make the beer so that we don't burn or scald the beer. So we heat it up here. Tim does his magic as he brews here. Tim is my son-in-law, Tim Wheeler. And he's done a fantastic job with brewing our beers. The one thing we looked for in our beers was consistency. We wanted the pale ale, the first batch, to taste like the second batch, to taste like the third batch. And to the best of my knowledge, that's been the case right through. We have been through multiple batches of our 4 standard beers, and no one has said, well, this doesn't taste the same anymore. So that's a really important ingredient for us, or really important, what we strive for. So after they're done boiling, Tim sends them through a chiller and then sends them into the fermentation tanks. I'm giving you a much abbreviated version of what really happens here. I do know that once they go to the fermentation tanks, it depends on what beer he is making as to how long they stay in the fermentation tanks. The Oktoberfest, I didn't think was ever coming out of the fermentation tanks, where the other beers that we make, somewhere was 3 to 4 weeks. Oktoberfest seemed like it was 6 to about 18 weeks. It wasn't really 18 weeks, but it seemed that long because we were telling people the beer's coming, the beer's coming, the beer's coming. Again, getting back to the thing I love most about Tim is that he cares tremendously about the quality of his beer, and just very, 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 very few complaints about our beer. People are almost surprised as to the quality of our beer. And I don't ever want to say I'm used to it, but the compliments about the quality of our beer far, far, far outweigh any concerns. So in the fermentation tank for a couple weeks, then he sends them this cord over here. These white tubes are used to transfer the beer over to the cold storage room, which is located in the pub. And from there then they're just tapped into your glass and you have a cold one. It's almost as simple as that. For those of you who've brewed at home, or those of you who've thought about brewing at home, to some degree, it is what you do, just in bigger quantities. I will say this, all the gears that are on all these tanks came stripped down, and Tim put it all together. So the process, I believe now, is relatively easy for Tim. I have seen him get out of the main brewing tank over here. I have helped him once the grain has been cooked. I've helped him get the grain out of there, and then I've watched him sterilize that tank, and it is hot, hot, hot. But again, one of the keys to a successful beer is making sure everything's sterilized. So there are a lot of gauges and a lot of ways that we monitor all those things. Once the beer goes over to the cold room, again, the cold room has to be at a certain temperature, and then there has to be a way to transfer the cold beer into your glass, and those lines are chilled as well. I think we have it down. It's a little bit different for every beer. I think the next thing, I better be careful if I say what the next thing he is brewing, because he does have the license to brew whatever and whenever he wants. That's kind of just a little perk he has, and he does have me over a barrel a little bit because A, he's my only brewer, and B, he's my son-in-law and the father of my grandson. So I have to let Tim do pretty much what Tim wants. But he does a fantastic job for us. We're very, very proud and pleased at the job he does for us here at Mudhook. Hi, here we are again. My name is Jeff Lau, and this is my son Jeffrey. I talked earlier about the name of Mudhook Brewing Company, partly because my family likes to go fishing. I really didn't touch on the topic that almost all my family works here, from my oldest son to my son-in-law, to my daughter, to my wife, a couple of my sisters, my nephew. We have quite a bit of family working here. So at this time, I'd like to turn you over to Jeff, and he's the guy that's here most nights. And so if you have a compliment, he's the guy you want to talk to. And if you have a problem, he's the guy you want to talk to.
And kind of along those lines with the family atmosphere, where we come from, that's kind of the atmosphere that's been established here. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. The people that come in here, it's a very intimate experience, and we get to know your name and you get to know our name. And a lot of people that join the Mug Club that come in frequently, they get to have their own mug and sit, and generally speaking, we know their name and they know our name. And it's just a really nice, relaxing place to be. We have 6 beers on tap, and all 6 come on our sampler paddle. And we try to keep our 4 main beers that we keep on all the time. We try to keep a beer for everybody. Anywhere from a lighter beer like the Irish Red has a lighter taste, to a heavier beer like the Deep Sea Stout. The 2 seasonals, we try to keep 2 on at all times, and those rotate and somewhat on demand. Right now, a lot of people like an IPA, and so we're heading in that direction. In the winter time, people like a heavier beer like porters and stuff like that. And so I think then, later as it gets colder, that kind of stuff will come in. But generally speaking, I would say that the beers that we have can pretty much fit whatever type of beer you drink, even anywhere from your heavy craft drinker to someone that likes Coors Light. There's nothing wrong with whatever taste you have, and for the most part we can accommodate that, whatever your taste is, to one of our beers. The handles were made by a friend of the family. My father's good friend Keith does that as a hobby, does some woodworking and ladling, and he actually made these for us, and I believe he's also making our blade sign for the front of the pub as well. We also have Allegro Wine. We try to use a lot of local businesses in our workings here. The wine is from a local place called Allegro Wines. Some of our other foods, like our desserts, come from Just Cupcakes in the market. The soup comes from Simply Soup, and Joy, who runs Simply Soup, is also our head chef here. So we try a lot of times, as much as we can, we try to use local places. This is one of our growlers. Because of our brew pub license, the only way that we can sell beer to go is in a growler. And I'm told that in the olden days, before refrigeration and before better transportation, the reason the growlers came about were farmers would come down from the hills and would come to the local bar or saloon and would fill up their growler to take back to the farm, because they would only come into town every couple of days. And so they would fill this up, or fill up a jug like this, take it back, and then a couple days later when they'd come back into town, they'd refill it again. So again, this is the only way we can sell to-go beer. It's 4 pints or 64 ounces in a bottle, and then when you buy it, you get to keep the bottle and you can bring it back and get it refilled anytime you want. And while we don't condone excessive drinking, we would welcome you anytime to come to Mudhook and get hooked.
Another frequently asked question is, why York City? I would answer that in that the local businesses, the mayor's office, the economic development department, everybody reached out to us and made us feel welcome here. There is a collective effort by all the businesses down here to make your visit to downtown York an enjoyable and a safe trip. We hope to see you here at the Mudhook, and we hope to see you get hooked.